Inside Boxing's Throwdown. I'm Steve Johnson, my co-host Aurelio Martinez. Our third and final segment for today is we're going to talk about some upcoming, it's open topic. We talk about a lot of things going on, but at the forefront of our minds right now, as most of you are aware, that the Terence Crawford Jeff Horn fight for Horn's WBO world welterweight title has been postponed because of a Terence Crawford injury. We don't call it alleged injury, we call it injury, but Jeff Horn says it's an alleged injury, Aurelio.
Well, let me tell you what, they're on Jeff. I mean, Jeff's team, Jeff and his trainer and the promoter out there are really ragging on Terence because they're saying, a slight injury, basically saying it was an insignificant injury, and it was basically an excuse because they realized they needed more time to prepare for Jeff and they were in trouble. I mean, the name calling is out there. They came back and were calling Terence Crawford everything except the man. I mean, and it got under the skin of Terence because he tweeted, I'm gonna F you up.
Yeah, he did.
When I get you in the ring, but then they come back and saying that would never happen over there. He says, as a matter of fact, in the last fight, Jeff Horn had 8 stitches put in his hand and missed out a lot of sparring. And he says it never even came into his mind of canceling the fight. And he says you got to work through it. You got to work through it. So they're basically he's saying he's got to grow some and go with the flow, and you don't disturb and cancel a multi-million-dollar promotion like that because of a slight injury. Now, a lot of people are saying, well, how do they know it's slight? Terence Crawford in that press release said it wasn't a bad injury, so he shouldn't have a problem in rescheduling that pretty quick. Okay, so there again, if it wasn't a bad injury, well, obviously it was enough to stop the fight in his eyes.
Well, I have to say this, in defense of Crawford, he thinks that he has bigger fish to fry. So his thing is, why would I take a chance on this injury, let it heal all the way, and come back because, this fight here is a stepping stone to what he wants to do. He's let it be known that he wants to unify the welterweight titles, like he did the light welterweight titles, okay? So why would you take a chance on a guy, that something happened, you just don't let this injury heal and it could linger on and causing problems down the future down the road. Having said that, I understand Horn taking a shot at that.
Oh, sure.
Because, like you said, normally if you have an injury like, a severe injury, you say we're going to postpone it. They postpone it 2-3 months.
Yeah.
This one postponed like 2 or 3 weeks almost, down the road. But one of the things that is disturbing to me is reading about this build up to this fight is the number of boxing people around the world that are saying that Horn has absolutely no chance. And I don't think he wins the fight, but to say he has no chance, like I said, this is a guy that we know that it's no reach for him to fight at junior middleweight or light middleweight. Okay, there's nothing to keep for him to fight at 154 is not a big deal. So for Terence Crawford to come up from fighting 140, to go ahead and fight a guy, his first fight at welterweight against a guy who's a big welterweight.
Yes.
I don't see where they're all just saying he has no chance.
Well,
Crawford should outbox him, but
without a doubt, this is the biggest opponent size-wise that Crawford's will have ever stepped into the ring in a fight. Make no mistake, Jeff Horn is going to come into that ring fight night weighing over 60 pounds. He's a big kid. He's a big kid, so he's going to drop his weight. He's going to dry out. He's going to weigh in at 47 pounder, and
rehydrate back
and he'll rehydrate and he'll be like Canelo Alvarez, man. He'll be in there so big, but still, when you compare skill, there again, I don't think he has the skill set that Terence Crawford has. The key is going to be whether Terence is going to be able to hurt him when he hits him with the solid punches. Makes a difference when you're hitting a little bag versus a big bag. You hit a little bag, you're going to hit it, it's going to move all around. In the gym, you hit this big 200-pound bag, you hit it, it's not gonna move.
Well,
So-
it was like,
so-
Crawford. I'm sorry. A lot of people think that Manny Pacquiao beat Horn, even though Horn kind of bullied him around.
Yeah.
So if you look at it like that, if you really feel like Manny Pacquiao kind of beat him, then the thought process of saying that Horn doesn't have a chance could come into play. Because,
Well, I'll go along with that. I mean, I think it was a legitimate reason, people saying that Pacquiao wanted to fight. But give and take it that, Pacquiao couldn't hurt Horn.
Couldn't hurt him at all.
Pacquiao's devastating puncher. When he gets on you, he's like a machine, and he hurts him. And that was proof that he just couldn't hurt him. And he went in, and when Pacquiao would go in and start to hit him, you could see where Horn would just like push him and manhandle him and rock him off his there was no leverage on Pacquiao because the guy was too big. Okay, now he's not going to be that much bigger because Pacquiao's a small guy. So we're talking about Crawford. Crawford's not going to be real little, but Crawford's going to come into the ring, into 50 pounds. So he's going to weigh in at 47. He'll come in at 55 or something. So it's not like it's going to be that much bigger, but he's still fighting a big boy, someone that he's not used to fighting.
A big welterweight. Yeah, it's not like you said, a smaller.
And he won't be looking down. Horn he will not be looking down at Horn.
Well, let me say this. We have an issue. I've had several people ask me, we know that the Crawford camp is down there in Colorado Springs. They said they were going to stay down there, to keep doing their training.
Yep.
How come we haven't had them on our show? That's not on us. That's on them. When they don't return phone calls and don't want to come up here and talk to us or either talk on the phone, that's on them. And as we get closer to the fight, I'll expound more on that, but it's on them. They don't want to talk, and that's okay if they don't want to talk. But they don't mind talking everywhere else. I'll just put that out there.
It's going to be interesting because, don't forget, you got Canelo coming into Colorado Springs to train. But, of course, Canelo, they made it very clear, Team Canelo, they're not interested in sparring and doing anything with anyone else locally. They're bringing in their sparring from overseas. They're bringing in the talent to work with. And you can bet that they'll be training at the Olympic Training Center, and it'll be closed. It'll be a closed session, so folks that think they're going to go up there and get a glimpse of Canelo training, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, Oscar De La Hoya has that tie with USA Boxing that he'll have.
Well, he's loved. I mean,
that he'll have access to.
He's not only loved by USA Boxing. Hate him or you can hate him as a professional boxer or as a promoter, but he's the guy that brought the gold to the United States. Don't forget that, and he's well loved in the United States as far as that is concerned. So, yeah, he'll be welcomed with open hands and catered on at the Olympic Training Center.
Well, since we're talking about Oscar De La Hoya, what about that controversy about him with the tainted Mexican beef? There's a lot.
Canelo.
Canelo. Yeah. Oscar too. But anyway,
excuse. That's an excuse. Let's face it.
Well, let me back up because you'll make me lose my train of thought.
Okay.
The reason I mentioned that is because we were cracking earlier about Jeff Horn cracking home so much on Terence Crawford about an injury. Look how my boy Triple G went after Canelo. He said, it's bad for boxing when the guy tests positive. He said, we haven't tested positive for anything, and we beef from everywhere. In defense of Canelo, I know they said there were 3 countries that are notorious for having this piece of tainted beef that comes up. Mexico is one of them. But it was I found it ironic that Canelo, after he tested positive, then he comes back and Ring Magazine and Oscar, they do these tests and he's okay. But then Canelo says, I'm going to come, the rest of my training camp's going to be in the United States.
Hey, let me.
So he's not going to eat no tainted Mexican beef until he actually gets fired.
Let me tell you that was a well planned Plan B excuse in case what happened. Clenbuterol, okay. Clenbuterol is and the reason athletes use this is because it works. Number one, it works, and number two, it's only detectable for a short amount of time. Like if you don't test within a week or two, it usually doesn't show. So it's an ideal Superman drug for athletes to take if they take it before, if they know when they're going to get tested. You can always work it to where it doesn't show up. The timing and people, it works. People use it all the time. They had a plan B. They knew about the beef, and they knew about the soccer athletes, and they knew about the basketball athletes, and they knew about football athletes that had claimed that they ate the beef and they showed up dirty. So that was a perfect and an ideal.
You're right. They
situation.
wasted no time in jumping
I mean,
around.
and don't give me that. He was even in a what was it, Tecate commercial or a Corona commercial, cooking beef. You know, no.
Even Sylvester Stallone,
He's
a
dirty.
known
Yeah,
juicer.
yeah, he's
a known juicer.
He's dirty, and I mean, so obviously the only thing it raises in my mind is he's been doing this.
Ooh.
He's been doing this all along.
All along?
Yeah, he's been doing it.
Wow.
He's been doing it, and he just hasn't got caught. And now he got caught. You know, they took the test, and the traces showed up, and they said, "Oh, wait a minute! If the traces showed up, they were in his body. So he was actually the timing. If the 2 weeks time had lapsed and it wasn't going to show up, and it did show up with traces, that tells me, man, he was juicing pretty hard, hard and heavy. Okay, so the beef situation doesn't fly. It's a good excuse. You know, Canelo's loved by the WBC. He's loved
No
by
question about that.
So he's going to be okay. A couple of years ago, the Mexican got caught training. Who was it?
A couple of years ago.
Yeah, Marcus or.
Was it Nacho? Who?
No, what? There was a fighter, and I'm sorry, I didn't know we were going to talk about this, but he got caught. He was suspended for 2 years for clenbuterol. Same thing, clenbuterol. He was caught. He got. And here, they're not even talking suspension. They're not even talking discipline.
Well, you know what,
You know?
here's my only problem. I know we got to end, but here's my only problem is that everyone knows about baseball, and they show pictures of this baseball player, specifically Mark McGwire, you know, and then you look Jose Canseco,
Yep.
Rodriguez,
Yep.
and you look at these guys. They show the picture of you then, and they show you a picture 3 years later, and it's night and day.
Yep.
You see the same thing with Canelo. I mean, it's almost a mirror of the way he looked 3 years ago, the way he looks now. And if there's anything that's condemning about it, the photos don't lie.
Yeah, but you know, the athletes you're talking about, they were actually juicing with steroids.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Clenbuterol is not a steroid.
Right, I got you. I'm understanding that.
It's just an enhancing. It's an enhancing agent that that enhances your workouts. It enhances your muscle. It's a muscle food. It works, but there's a reason it's banned.
But what I'm saying is
but
that,
you're right. You're right. When you stop, your body stops.
well,
also.
there's nobody that's just using one formula. Everybody, they tie them all in.
Yeah.
But what they've done, they've learned how to work the cycle so that they clear when it comes time for a test. And so that's why when you said he's been doing it all along, I incorporated it all.
Yeah.
I'm saying that he just knows how to beat the test.
He does. He does.
And
there's ways of masking the test. And I'm telling you what, they're masters in Mexico. And you got people.
you don't even have to say Master of Mexico. We go back to last week. We talked about why is it unnecessary to have a Victor Conte or a Riza in your corner. These are guys that have shown they know how to beat the test.
They know how to mask the system. They know the test. They know how not to make things show up in tests. I mean, it's an art, and that's why people bring him. Why else would anyone bring a Riza in
or Victor Conte?
Why would they bring him in?
Hey,
there's a reason you bring these in, and it's not because they're going to show you how to throw a right hand. Okay, so
that's
anyway,
right. That's right. All right, radio.
But
finish it up for us.
We're going to get out of here. And we extended a little bit, but come back and see us next week where we do it all again. Hope you enjoy it. I love the comments that are coming in. Keep the comments coming. So, with that, Steve,
Hey, keep up, baby.